Hey everybody, it's Magic Prepper, and I wanted to share some mistakes that I made with you when it came to acquiring my suppressors. And I only own two, and I regret buying both of them. And I didn't have the knowledge or the information that I have now regarding suppressors back when I made those purchases, which is why I want to share this with you, so you can avoid wasting money or just making the wrong decision and then living with regret for the rest of your life. Now, many of you are going to say, well, Magic, it's mostly because you're an idiot. And that might be true, but I know a lot of new suppressor owners in the making are waiting until the beginning of next year to buy their first suppressor because of the tax stamp being reduced to $0. So hopefully this is enough time to get some of this information out there to give those people some better ideas about what they might want to do and avoid doing some of the dumb things that I did. Now, I do have a dye-free Tiger Claw right here on the front of my 10.5, and I want to share with you really quickly why. This video is sponsored by TacPack. Now, TacPack is a monthly subscription service that's great for anybody who wants to stock up on spare parts or maybe try out new accessories they've never even thought of before. For example, we have a Mission First tactical pistol bag here from a TacPack that's full of other items in a TacPack. For example, backup iron sights, which I know you guys love to have. But we also have very useful spare parts, such as full-blown bolt carrier groups and charging handles, safeties, and end plates, which you can't go wrong with. Not to mention accessories that I'm really excited to try out, like this dye-free Tiger Claw, which I'm going to throw on my 10.5. But they also give you things like survival gear. For example, this monstrosity right here, I'm pretty sure could have defended Minas Tirith. So, if you're interested, TacPack has two different main tiers. They have the Standard and the Plus. With the Standard, it's $50 a month, and you get $90 to $120 worth of value in your package. But the Plus is $129.95 a month. You get a value of $240 to $300 in every single package. And right now, for the Christmas and July promotion, if you use the code MAGIC, you'll get a bonus gift that's worth at least $125 when you sign up for the Plus subscription. So check out TacPack.com and let them know Magic Prepper sent you by using that code MAGIC when you sign up for the Plus subscription. Of course, having extra parts on hand and getting additional accessories is never a bad idea, and this is a great way to do it. So thanks to TacPack for supporting the channel, and now back to the video. All right, so right here we have a Huxworks Ventum 762. It's a flow-through, low back pressure style suppressor, specifically for 30 cal, but you can use it with a 5.56, which is what I have here. And it's been a relatively good suppressor, but it's definitely not the one I should have chosen. And then my other suppressor that I own is actually a Silencer Co. Omega 300, which is another 30 caliber suppressor that's not low back pressure, it's not flow-through, but you can shoot 5.56 through it, and of course anything 30 cal, like 7.62 by 51 or 7.62 by 39. Now, why do I regret buying both of these suppressors? Here's the thing. When I first bought my suppressor, and the first one I bought was the Omega 300, okay? So when I first bought this, I thought, okay, well, first off, it was a decent deal. You know, these are like a sub 1,000, so compared to some other brands out there, I was like, all right, it's not too bad. And I wanted a suppressor I could use on a variety of different guns, right? So I could use this on my 5.56, I could use this on my 308, I could use this on my 300 Blackout, my 7.62 by 39, and vice versa when it comes to being able to swap it back and forth. So I thought, you know, that's the way to go, because now I'm gonna have access to multiple suppressible firearms with only needing one suppressor. Sounds great, right? Well, here's the problem, okay? So after a while, I figured out that I wanted something low back pressure. And I also had a gun that was shorter than usual when it came to barrel length, and these things do have barrel length restrictions. So I thought, okay, I need low back pressure and I need something that doesn't have a barrel length restriction, because this particular suppressor only goes down to 16-inch barrels on 308s. But I had a 13-inch 308. So I picked up the Ventum 762 because, well, the Huxworks Ventum 762. It's low back pressure, it's flow through, right? So it's healthier, it's easier on your guns, but also, by the way, it's 30 caliber. So now I basically have two of the same exact suppressors, but one is for shorter barrel lengths and allows for flow through, and the other one is more of a traditional baffle style and just requires some longer barrels. Here's where the problem comes in, because I guess I haven't addressed that yet. I wasn't buying a suppressor while prioritizing the primary function of what I wanted a suppressor for. At the time, I thought having one for 300 Blackout was pretty much the main reason to get one. And of course, having one while having 300 Blackout is a good way to go, but I don't necessarily think you have to have 300 blackout to have a suppressor, right? And my primary cartridge for training and for shooting and for if I was ever in like a, you know, SHTF type scenario is 5.56 NATO. And I think that's the majority of us here in the United States. But even if it's not, this logic will still apply to you. You need to prioritize the gun that you need to suppress the most. And then you need to choose a suppressor that's going to be the most efficient on that gun. And what I should have done is bought a 5.56 specific suppressor in most likely a shorter K-style configuration. Because at the end of the day, you're looking for signature reduction, but you're not going to get full signature reduction with a suppressor with a supersonic cartridge. So what I want is something that's going to make things a little quieter, but remove flash and at the same time, you know, just overall make it a little bit harder to tell if it's coming at you or coming from another location or whatever it might be. And this suppressor accomplishes that, but in a much heavier and much larger package. And that's because it has to accommodate 30 caliber. And most 7.62 suppressors are heavier and slightly larger than their 5.56 counterparts. So I added additional weight and additional bulk to my firearms, all because I was worried about possibly using it on 30 caliber weapons, when in reality I still needed to mostly use it on 5.56. And that's probably the biggest mistake I made, because when it comes to guns in general, you need to prioritize the use and you need to prioritize the primary over anything else. The same can be said for optics. Always prioritize the primary optic. To mount your red dot on your handguard because you want to be able to fit a magnifier and a backup iron sight is a bad idea. The red dot comes first, everything else follows thereafter. And the same can be said about suppressors. And I just did it wrong, you know, and I haven't even bought the suppressor I actually need yet because, well, they're expensive. And I just haven't made it happen because I actually need 2 suppressors, not just 1. And here's where I'll explain to you what I would have done if I would have started over now, or if I was waiting until, you know, the beginning of the year to capitalize on a $0 tax stamp. So first off, I would have bought a 5.56 K-style can, maybe a Surefire or something like that. I think a Huxworks is a good way to go. The flow-through technology is better. It's a little bit less damaging to your internal components on your firearm. It's better for your health in the sense of not having as much gas coming back in your face. And so in general, they're very lightweight. They're very well regarded. They're good when it comes to signature reduction, and they help in other aspects that you don't get with traditional style cans. But regardless, something like a Surefire RC2 is proven and time tested and very durable and something that you could rely on for a very long period of time. So either way, I don't really see there being a huge difference, but that's where I would have started. A K-style can and 5.56, so that way I could suppress the guns that matter the most, the ones I'm going to use in an emergency, the guns I'm going to train with the most, the ammo I'm going to shoot the most because of affordability and everything else related to it. That's just what I should have done. Okay, so if I was buying one today and I didn't have one, that's where I'd start. And I get a K can because you're not going to get full-blown like silencer, you know, Hollywood style suppression. You're just going to reduce your signature. And so let's cut down some weight and some bulk while we're at it, since we're not going to get something that's super quiet regardless, right? Now, the other thing I would buy after that would be probably something like along the lines of like an Omega 45 or something like that. And what I'm saying is like a 45 caliber pistol can, but one that's rated to be able to be used on rifle calibers like 300 blackout. These little bastards are attacking me today. I'm getting upset about it. So here's why. First off, it allows you to suppress a multitude of firearms. You could use it on anything that's like a 45 ACP. You could use it on something like a 9mm. So if you have like an MP5 or something like that, you could use it on your pistols, you know, and then you can also use it for, in often cases, your 300 blackout subsonics. And so now you have a suppressor that's specifically designed for those more inherently naturally subsonic cartridges, but with a large enough bore to really make it more universal for whatever you're using it for, and allows you to then still use the subsonic aspect of some of these larger rounds, which actually makes it quiet without sacrificing your 5.56 guns in the process, which is basically what I did here. I have the 30 caliber can, great. I can use it on a 308 or a 300 blackout. Which gun am I grabbing in the middle of the night? Probably this one. Okay, so now we have a less efficient can that weighs more, that's bigger, and just so I could shoot 300 blackout quietly if I decide to as well. See where I'm going with this? So that's the way I would go. 5.56K can of some sort, and then some sort of 45 or 9mm caliber can that's capable of shooting like 300 blackout subsonics as well, just to ensure that I could use it on PCCs, like 9mm sub-style guns, or I could use it on a pistol if I decided to, or I could then use it on a 300 blackout in the subsonic configuration and not be so concerned about the supersonic aspect. Because let's be honest, even without a can, this gun is loud, but still, very shootable, and the can just kind of makes it a little bit more pleasant. But in reality, I'm not worried about having the can per se if I don't have it, but it's really beneficial to have. And that's why I want to be worried about 300 blackout supersonics, but only really concerned about subsonics. Because once you go super, you're going to hear the sonic crack, and at the same time, like, just take the can off if you don't have the ability to use subs anymore, and oh well, right? So that's what I would do. That's my suggestion. Those are the mistakes I made. Listen, I'm not trying to say you shouldn't get a can. I think they're great, and I think you should. Just don't get the wrong ones and then realize that the idea of doing something universal was never a good idea in the beginning, and wasted a lot of money for me. And now I'm on the search for 2 more cans, even though I have 2 cans right here. I've got them, but they both do kind of the same thing, and they're both not really good at the thing that I need them to do the most. And then they also can't do 9mm or 45 or any larger cartridges because they're limited to 30 caliber. So they're very limited while also being less efficient. Can I drive that home any further? Can I repeat myself any more? Probably not, but it's one of my talents and I do it quite often. So let me know in the comments below what you would do if you're starting over today when it comes to buying suppressors. Would you get something different? Would you, I don't know, think about getting a pistol can first so that you can run subsonics more easily? Or would you get a 5.56 can because that's the gun you shoot with the most? These are things that I think about and I want to hear about because maybe I'm a little bit wrong on my assessment, but those are the 2 things I'm looking for now, which is probably why I want them in the beginning, regardless of whether or not these 30 cal cans do the job. They're not what I should have gotten. And I'd also like to hear any recommendations you have, especially for newbies, especially if they're gonna get their first one, what you would do based on your experience. Anything else you need from me at all, go to magicprepper.com. At magicprepper.com, you can find out more information about the MP Field Tool, which is a new product that I just released. It's made in the USA and it does a lot of cool stuff, especially involving rifles, and I think you might enjoy it. So make sure you check that out. And of course, big thanks to TacPack for sponsoring this video and becoming a supporter of the channel. So make sure you go say thanks to them if that's something you're interested in. And besides that, that's gonna be it for Magic Prepper.